kumquats. Kumquat are fresh kumquats. Hey there everybody, welcome back to Chefs at Home. I'm Jay, and this is the show where we show you how to take advantage of your own home kitchen, make everything from scratch here in our own home kitchen, as you can see by the dirty dishes, and hopefully make your own kitchen your best friend. So I just wanted to introduce today's projects. This is going to be our very first experiments video. I'm hoping to make this a longer series. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yesterday, Steph and I went over to her mom's house to just spend the day and kind of have some quality time with her because we haven't seen her in a couple weeks. We just got back from vacation, as you might have seen from our last video, which I might link there-ish. So, yesterday, we stumbled under her house and our kumquat tree was packed. I'm talking stuffed to the gills. So I spent about 30 minutes, picked maybe 20-25 pounds of kumquats. We got all of this delicious stuff made out of it. We got some candied kumquats, kumquat syrup, some kumquat jam, which has some other stuff made from the backyard, and some pickled kumquats. As I show you how we made all of this, we tasted at the end of the episode, and hopefully it all came out really, really, really good. Alright, what up? Steph and I are over here at her mom's house. Steph always does all the gardening at her mom's house, and the kumquat tree was just packed. So I picked all of these kumquats, and we're gonna do a couple things with them. I don't know quite what we're gonna make yet. We're thinking jam, some pickled kumquats, and what was the other thing? Candied kumquats. Yeah, that's right. But then the other thing we're gonna go pick is over here. These wonderful little Pekin red chili peppers. See those? So we're gonna pick and we're gonna throw those into our marmalade and make what we're gonna call backyard jam. Made from the kumquat tree that you can see over there. That thing right there. And the chili pepper. We're almost ready to start cutting. She's ready. She had the great idea to make us a gin and tonic with the kumquats we just picked. Now enjoy us cutting kumquats. We'll meet you back when they're all done. So Stephanie and I just scored and halved all of our kumquats. So we just opened them up, and that way when cooking, all the juices can get in and cook it all the way. Now let's head inside and get our experiments all started. We divided up our kumquats into three things. We're going to do a jam here, which I actually already have started. Pickled kumquat in here, pickled kumquat in here, candied kumquats in here. So in here, as you can see, I've got some nice spices, star anise, peppercorn, big stick of Mexican cinnamon, which is a little bit different than the normal cinnamon we use. We have our kumquats, which we just have. Here are our ingredients we used for our jam. We have some fresh black peppercorns, fresh star anise, and fresh nutmeg. I like to use everything in its whole form. You can toast these up if you really want to bring them out a little bit more. We also have in there a couple cups of sugar, and for the 24 cups of kumquat that we have here, I used 8 cups of plain white sugar. Right? You can leave the star anise and the black peppercorns whole, but on the nutmeg you're actually going to use a microplane to grate it. Our final ingredient for our jam is we're going to take these homegrown piquillo chili peppers like I showed you earlier. Take like maybe 6, 7, 8 of the, let's do 10. And those are going to cook in with our kumquats. Now that we have our jam, let's take a quick break, get our candied ones working next. I messed up, so I forgot. You should probably put your spices into a cheesecloth and wrap them up, so that way they still leach all of their flavor. I'm just going to take them, put them in a cloth, wrap them up, take a little twine, tie this all up nice and tight, drop that back in, and we'll come back to that in about an hour and a half. So next up, we are going to work on candying some of our kumquat, because you can actually candy a lot of the different citruses. Like, you ever see those rings of the lemons or limes or oranges that are candied and then coated in sugar, and they're like a chewy gummy almost that you can eat. Kumquats do the same thing. It's almost like a gusher. They're like nature's gusher, I like to call them. We're going to take our 4 cups of sugar, and we have taken probably another 20 to 24 cups of kumquats. We're just going to turn this on to medium-high heat, and we're going to add all of our sugar in. And we're going to bring that up to a pretty rolling boil. What we're going to do is we're going to replace all of that pithy white and the outside with the extra sugar in there. For these, unlike the jam, we're going to keep them whole. So we're just going to cook them with the sugar, and then we're going to pull them out, dry them, and we're going to recoat them in a little bit of more sugar afterwards. Our final recipe to use all of the kumquats that I picked, we're going to make pickled kumquats. We have about 4 quarts of kumquat, about 16 cups. We're going to make our pickling spice first. So I got our pan here so we can toast up some spices. It's super important to toast your spices just so that way it really draws out the oils and gives you the full flavor of the spice that you're going to use. So for our spice mix today, we got a couple good things. Allspice, some black peppercorns, cumin seed, a little bit of caraway seed, some celery seed, fennel seed, cardamom pod, and some bay leaf, rosemary, and a little bit of dried thyme. Let's get all of that into the pan really quick. And just turn it on to medium heat. While those are toasting, let's get our other stuff into our container here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 bay leaves. A couple dashes of that dried rosemary, and a little bit of thyme. So I go for a super complex, herby, and spicy mix when I'm making any sort of pickle. I really like a lot of complexity. Whenever I get a drink, whenever I go out, I'm always that guy who's like, give me everything herbal and ridiculous and over the top. So you'll definitely see I like to do things a little bit herbal, ridiculous, and over the top. So I'm just going to keep moving your spices around the pan. You can already smell them coming to temperature. Well, that smells good. Damn. So probably the best way to tell when all of this is going to be ready is by looking at your cardamom pods, just because they're going to be your biggest. They're green and they will change color and toast to look brown when they're ready. Super important, keep everything moving around, because if you don't, you're only going to toast one side of whatever spice you're working with.
It's gonna burn!
While that's working, let's mix up our candied kumquats here for a little bit, make sure nothing's sticking. And we can take our pot off of our jam. Oh yeah, that's coming along nice. So here on our cardamom pod, I don't know if you can see, but it's starting to change color just a little bit. So I think we are almost ready on our spices here.
Ooh, I can smell the cumin.
Oh yeah. It's equally as important to spice as it is to not burn. Just like with anything, burning it's going to make it bitter and not fun to eat. Once you get it to this point, we are going to add some of our vinegar and our sugar and water just directly into this pot. I'm going to turn off the temperature to start, pour our sugar straight in there, and we're going to take ourselves about 4 cups of apple cider vinegar. It's important to use the apple cider vinegar when you're pickling fruit, just because it is slightly sweeter and it's made from fruit, so it's going to keep that nice bright floralness that fruit carries with it. Whereas if you use any red wine vinegar or white wine vinegar, you could lose some of that. So now that we have our 4 cups of vinegar, let's get 4 cups of water. Now that we have all of that in the pan, we're going to just turn it back on high heat, and we're going to bring that to a full boil. The kumquats have started boiling, so we're going to just mix them up. Don't worry, the foam's not anything bad. Can always skim it off if you're so inclined, but yeah. Our pickling liquid is boiling. Look at it.
Most exciting vinegar.
Oh yes, it's
spice
good.
blend you've ever seen.
So now that that's ready, we're just going to pour that all directly into our kumquats. This is going to be a hot pickle. Ooh. Just so that way it really penetrates and almost cooks the kumquats. You really want that vinegar to penetrate all the way down into the kumquat. So we're going to fill it up, and then we are going to take something to weigh it down. I found myself a tiny little plate, so you can check the diameter of your plate that it'll fit in here. I put a little too much liquid in here. We're going to just drain a little bit of that off. Got this big in here. I'm making a mess. I'm making a mess. So the weight, as I was mentioning, is very important because you need to have everything submerged under the liquid for it to actually pickle. Imagine that. Weight on, kumquats covered, and this is going to take probably 3 to 7 days to be fully pickled and ready to go. From here, you can just let it sit on the countertop for about an hour, hour and a half, come back to room temperature, and then you're going to put a lid on it and finish cooling it off in your fridge. It will honestly be good pretty much forever because it's a preserved item. Then you can just pick them out and eat them. We'll come back to them in about 7 days and test them out. It's a finicky one. Sometimes if I do it at the wrong angle. We're going to come back to our jam here. So we're going to take our sachet of our spices out. Toss that. We're going to take an immersion blender, and we're actually just going to blend everything together. Alright.
Are we gonna strain it?
Yeah, we can strain it. Alright, so we're going to do a double strain. Big holes, small holes. Put the small holes in first to catch the fine stuff. Put the big holes in second to catch the big stuff. Big stuff gets caught. Little stuff gets caught, smooth stuff comes out. So we're going to take our half-cooked marmalade and just pour it really carefully into the colander. And then we're going to take our spoon. We're just going to push it through very gently. Oh yeah, a ladle will work. And just swirl it. And that'll help everything come out even faster. I kind of only want to put it through the first strain. It's caught enough stuff, I think. This fine mesh strain is going to be too much. So we're going to revise ourselves. We're only going to do the thick strain. Alright. Very carefully. But then start the process. And then if you look, it's pretty much all just pulp and seeds and peppercorns left. So we got a good, nice, smooth jam here, and this we're actually going to put back in and keep cooking down. Get our temp back, that's the front, onto like medium, and we're just going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back to a regular boil and reduce it probably by another quarter to a third. Going to take about another 30 to 35 minutes of cooking. Take the lid. Put the lid on. Actually, I want that to reduce. Take the lid, take the lid off, and we're good. So our next step on this is we are going to take a thing just to pull them out. You can use any sort of sieve. We're just gonna pull them out and drain them a little bit and fill up our trays here. So the easiest way to tell, oh Jesus, hot, these are done, is the skins are going to become really translucent. If you just pull one out, you're going to be able to really tear it apart. And when you eat it, you're going to have nice candied skin. And it's going to taste amazing. So once we get all those done, we're going to set them to the side and let them finish cooling. But make sure that you save whatever liquid that you have here, because this is really, really, really tasty kumquat simple syrup that you can use in cocktails or a variety of other desserts later down the line. And it's not really going to go bad in your fridge. Just make sure to refrigerate it. The next day. Alright, welcome back to the next day. As you can see, we are back in our normal home kitchen. Yesterday, Stephanie's mom let us use her home kitchen. So much fun to use. Has literally everything you could ever think of when you're trying to cook. So let's go over some of the things that we actually did yesterday. We have our kumquat jam, our kumquat simple syrup, pickled quats, and I got a couple of our candied quats here. So I just kind of want to describe each item. Let's go down the line from, I think, the simplest to the most complex. Here we have our kumquat simple syrup. This is just the leftover cooking syrup that we made our candied kumquats in. Yeah, this stuff is awesome. I keep it refrigerated. It's probably going to be good in your fridge for about a month. You can use it in drinks and cocktails or sodas or even in another cooking application. But yeah, we'll probably be making a drink with this later today. Next, we have our jam. It's more of a marmalade, I guess. Citrus makes a marmalade. Came out pretty good. It darkened up a lot more than I thought in the cooking process. So I think I caramelized some of the sugars a little bit too far. But it tastes fantastic. You can see it's got a nice jammy texture. Not too thin, not too thick. It's nice and spreadable. Came out much, much nicer than I was expecting, honestly. I'd never made jam before, so this was like a winging it experiment. But the taste of it, nice and kumquat-y. All those spices really come through. And if you can remember, I threw a couple of those little Peking chilies in there just to give it some kick. And it almost tastes like a kumquat Mexican candy right at the end. It's got that finishing spice to it. That's gonna be great. That's an amazing morning bread. Alright, let's go on to our candied kumquats. I still need to dry just a little bit. They're really, really, really good though. So last night I dried them at Stephanie's mom's house for about an hour. Once the skins had fully dried out, I coated them with a little sugar, and I let them dry again overnight. So they're still not quite there. They need to dehydrate probably for the rest of today. But once they're all done, they're going to have that nice crackly sugar coating and keep that juicy inside. So they're going to be like, if you can see, we're going to open one up, and it's still got all that nice pulp, and there's a few seeds in there. I didn't de-seed them. And it really is like nature's gusher. You get that juicy burst of orange on the inside, and then you get that nice candy shell. God, those are good. I could eat all of those right now. And so this is the one that I'm really, really excited for. Have not opened it up yet, so we're gonna test this out together. Let's just pull out our first kumquat. Oh yeah. So that has softened up quite a bit. Let's check this baby out. Gonna open her up. So it hasn't quite pickled all the way through. You can see it has ended and where it's pickled. Again, I didn't de-seed these, but these I'm actually going to recommend that you process further if you do want to use them. They're going to be great if you make them into little rounds, like just thinly slice them into little rounds, or if you are going to blend them up into like a pulp for like a relish or something. These are going to be fantastic. Oh, that came out great. It's not quite pickled, so it's still pretty fresh fruity. So we're gonna let those sit for, this is just the first day, so another 5 days probably before we open that back up. But at the moment, they're super floral, super fruity. It actually has lightened up the tartness of the kumquat normally, and then all the spices that we have in really come through at the end. I could eat all of these also. Those came out fantastic, holy crap. Now, it's going to be a challenge to figure out what to do with all this stuff. The jam's going to be pretty easy. That's breakfast for like a month. The candies are pretty easy. I can give those away as gifts. But the pickled kumquats, I want to figure out something fun for us to do with the pickled kumquats. Those you're going to see again for sure. Hey there everybody, if you made it this far in today's video, thank you so much for watching. Today's kumquat experiments came out way better than I could have asked for, and I hope you all learned something along the way. And if you really enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you all next time.